It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank here in the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. And Ted Cogar is with us from IUP. He will be serving as the Master of Ceremonies on Tuesday during IUP's 911 commemoration. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good
Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you with us here today as we talk about this very, very significant program. It is, isn't it, a very important part of IUP's academic life or community life. I guess that's a better way to put it.
It is, and it's really something that's not just the university. It's the university and community coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been at IUP since 2001, and I started shortly before the September 11th attacks. And it was a time when people came together. You saw the Oak Grove filled with 5,000 plus people, and the university has been commemorating since that time every year.
Mm-hmm. One of the aspects, of course, of the 911 ceremonies is the fact that IUP lost 3 alumni in the attack in New York City.
Yes, and we certainly gathered to remember William Moskal and Donald Jones and William Sugra. And we gather with the alumni all around the world, and the university has ties not just to those who were lost in the attacks at the World Trade Center, but certainly at Flight 93 and the memorial there, and the students who have been a part of the reforestation, or those who were lost at the Pentagon. And we pause during the academic year to really remember them, and then to continue to come together as a nation and as a world to fight hate, and to join together to search for a peaceful solution.
Even in the aftermath of the 911 attacks, there's an aspect of IUP's involvement there, because there are many people from IUP who are involved in the rescue efforts, in the cleanup efforts, and down through the years. It's very important to acknowledge, because that is a part of what you're talking about, that whole community aspect of what it is all about.
Absolutely, and I think it's wonderful that we have the ability to invite the keynote speaker for this year's service in the Oak Grove is the former ELCA bishop of Metro New York Synod, and he was present. He was there working on interfaith work in New York City. He also gathered together with the first responders, and so to have someone come and share his perspective with many of our students who don't remember or had no opportunity to see firsthand, like many of us who are within the community, the academic and the Indiana community.
Now, that's Reverend Stephen Bowman, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, tell me about the rest of the program. What will we be experiencing on Tuesday morning?
We also have Dr. Michelle Pepeki, who is a journalism faculty member and also a service member, who will be speaking. She is bringing certainly the perspective of military and first responders, and so I think we have this great combination coupled with the ROTC and folks who are posting the colors, as well as having a fire truck and a police vehicle in the Oak Grove. And the community is invited to come together to witness and to pause during this time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Through the years, since you've been there since 2001, you have experienced these ceremonies every year. And,
yes.
And again, we want to salute the Kowalczyk Complex for their very moving contribution to the memorial at IUP, right there in the Oak Grove. Have people's attitudes changed about the 911 attacks or the recovery, or have people begun to sort of put that in the rearview mirror a little?
That's certainly an interesting question. I do think that there are people who will stop at the piece of the towers that is present in the heart of campus. the piece of the tower is on permanent loan from the Kovalchik family. And I think when people learn what that is and have an understanding of that piece of American history and the history of IUP, it adds a new perspective for them. And in thinking about whether people have begun to forget or not, I certainly hope not. I hope it's an opportunity for individuals to remember whether they were present or not, but to remember how a community came together, how a university responds, and how alumni are continuing the legacy of work that those individuals and those families have started. So it's an opportunity to look forward. It's an opportunity to look into the future rather than just the forgotten past
Yeah.
or the unknown past.
One of the things about when I was growing up was it was in the aftermath of the Kennedy killings. President John F. Kennedy, I was 3 years old at the time. And as the years went by, people didn't want to go back and remember on November 22nd because it was just too painful for them. I'm sure that there's a little bit of that in the way we look at 911 today, particularly younger folks who don't want to have that pain brought up to them again. And yet you've got Reverend Bowman coming. I'm sure his reflections, having been there at that time, will help that to be not such a hard thing to go through, and we'll be able to give people the proper perspective on 911.
It's certainly always an opportunity for those of us who lived through the experience to tell our stories as well. One of the fascinating things for me is that we all will often remember where we were, what we were doing, who we were with, how we attempted to reach family members and friends who we couldn't reach at that moment. But then it gives us an opportunity to also look at how, as a nation, how, as the world, we support one another and how we continue doing so to this day.
Ted Cogar is with us here this morning. He will be the Master of Ceremonies at IUP's 911 commemoration ceremony coming up on Tuesday morning, September the 11th, of course. When should folks arrive? And obviously, we want to make sure that everybody knows that it doesn't matter who you are, you're invited.
Absolutely. Everyone should be in the Oak Grove by 8:15, certainly by 8:30. The IUP Wind Ensemble will be sharing music, and then we will begin the actual commemoration service at 8:30.
And with rain in the forecast, I'm sure measures have been taken there?
Yes, we'll move into Gorell Recital Hall.
Oh, right next door.
Yes,
Right next
in
door.
Sutton Hall.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure 8:46 is the time, isn't it, when the moment of silence will be? That is the moment at which the first plane hit.
Yes, 8:46 is when the bells will chime, and we'll pause specifically for those individuals.
And we will look forward to that time. And thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We appreciate it very, very much. That's Ted Cogar. He will be the Master of Ceremonies coming up on Tuesday at IUP in the Oak Grove for the 911 commemoration.